Well, New York State has now issued its first 36 cannabis dispensary licenses. That's a big step in establishing a legal marketplace for recreational marijuana. However, as we hear from Jackie Napier, none of the licenses were granted to local applicants, and we asked her to find out why.
Good evening, Don. Because of a pending federal lawsuit, the Cannabis Control Board is unable to approve dispensary licenses in 5 regions, including the Finger Lakes and Western New York. Luke Dobbins, a business owner in Newark, was hoping to become one of New York State's first legal recreational marijuana retailers.
I saw, obviously it's going to be a lucrative business being the first legal dispensaries being allowed in New York State, but also just knowing that, you're going to be giving safe product to the public, and that I thought was a good thing.
He applied for a license that fit the state's criteria with his past misdemeanor possession charge, but 2 weeks ago he got disappointing news. A federal judge temporarily blocked New York from issuing its first batch of licenses in 5 regions, including this one. An applicant in Michigan filed a lawsuit claiming the state's licensing criteria is unfair.
The plaintiff is saying that if you never stepped foot in New York, you could have never had a New York cannabis conviction, and therefore you're discriminating against anybody who is not in New York and does not have a New York cannabis conviction.
Dobbins says despite the legal delay, he's still optimistic about his chances to someday soon obtain a license and open one of the region's first legal retail dispensaries.
I think the market's going to be flooded, but right now, being one of the first legal dispensaries out there, I think it's going to be very lucrative. So I'm excited about that.
The first licenses went to businesses owned by individuals convicted of cannabis-related offenses and nonprofit groups that serve people who had been incarcerated. Experts say we could be seeing adult-use dispensaries in other parts of the state by January or February.
A group of black pastors in Rochester is calling out County Executive Adam Bello and some members of the legislature for policies they say are bad for the black community. Today, they listed 3 main complaints: Adam Bello's recent veto of 5 black majority county legislative districts, the failure to appoint the black candidate as public defender, and concerns federal money from the American Relief Plan won't be distributed equitably.
These patterns of anti-blackness and racial undertones in decision-making harm the future of black people and leaves the black community vulnerable, leaves our voices muted, and leaves our communities struggling.
A spokesman says the county executive has no role in choosing the public defender and that decisions about Recovery Act money followed a full year of public involvement. Bello explained his position on redistricting last week, saying the map submitted by lawmakers, quote, packs minority voters into districts that already elect minority-preferred candidates, rather than expanding opportunities for minority representation. The most widely viewed sporting event in the world, Soccer's World Cup, is underway in the Middle Eastern nation of Qatar. But there's controversy surrounding the Cup this year.
The big focus has been less about the game and more about the human rights violations.
As teams from around the world begin to play in Qatar, there is concern over that country's treatment of the LGBTQ community and migrant workers. The U.S. team ended its first match today in a 1-1 draw against Wales, but as Carla Rogner reports tonight, local fans cheering on the team were concerned about much more than just the soccer.
As they cheer on their team, these fans don't forget that the Qatar World Cup Stadium was built by migrant workers and in a country where homosexuality is against the law.
The people who are watching the games as soccer fans internationally, I think that they see it, and I think it's a continued issue that does get brought up during the games.
It's why, as they celebrate the sport, Flower City Union is also raising money for 2 local companies, Trillium Health, a community health center that provides inclusive health care, and Worker Justice Center of New York, an organization that supports workers' rights.
We here at Flower City really believe in inclusion and that everyone has the same rights and that, you should be respectful of everyone's decisions.
On day 2 of the event, an American journalist says he was briefly detained for wearing a t-shirt with pride colors. FIFA has also banned players from wearing a One Love armband. Josh Cavallo, an openly gay soccer player from Australia, condemning that decision, writing on Instagram, "FIFA, you have lost my respect." Fans at Flower City Union say they're disappointed in FIFA's decision to allow Qatar to host the event. In the meantime, they're doing what they can in Rochester to speak up.
The World Cup, many people say, should never have been given to Qatar in the first place. And I think that really shows when you look at those issues. And it's something that both FIFA and all of the governing bodies of the national teams have to look at going forward for future World Cups.
The local club Flower City Union will continue to host watch parties for the Cup matches and accept donations for Trillium and Worker Justice Center. We've got more information on 13wham.com.